HOA, Karen called me a freeloader, only to discover who I really was. The first time I attended my neighborhood homeowners meeting, I felt completely out of place. I'd just bought a house in a nicer neighborhood, and while I was excited, I quickly realized the neighbors weren't as welcoming as I'd hoped. Most of them gave me polite nods, but one woman, Lisa, the neighborhood's self-appointed queen, she barely hid her disdain of me. As soon as I walked in, Lisa shot me a judgmental glance, taking in my tattoos and casual attire with obvious disapproval. "Oh, did your boyfriend buy you the place?" she asked loudly, then laughed. A few chuckled awkwardly, others cringed, but nobody corrected her. I forced a polite smile and said firmly, "Actually, I bought it myself," but she just laughed condescendingly and whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Sure she did. Probably has a sugar daddy funding that little dream house of hers." I burned with embarrassment, but instead of making a scene, I took a deep breath and let it go. I dealt with ignorant assumptions my whole life. Lisa continued to dismiss me throughout the evening, loudly suggesting I probably wouldn't even contribute to the neighborhood, that I'd be out partying and living it up, rather than attending important meetings. It didn't stop there. Over the next few weeks, I'd catch snippets of her gossip from others, saying I must be unemployed, involved with shady people, or living off someone else's money. Each insult stung, but I reminded myself I didn't need her approval. Still, her constant assumptions chipped away at my patience. Then came the evening of the private school's annual parent-teacher conference, a day I always loved as an accomplished teacher, so I could really connect with students' families and get on the same page. I sat calmly at my desk, waiting for my next appointment, when my office door swung open, and there stood Lisa, with her daughter Casey, one of my brightest students. Her jaw dropped instantly. Her face paled as Casey smiled and introduced me enthusiastically, saying, "Mom, this is Professor Harper. She teaches my advanced psychology course. She's incredible." Lisa's eyes widened in shock, unable to speak. Her gaze darted between Casey and me, desperately trying to compute that the successful teacher in front of her was not, in fact, a lazy, gold-digging dropout she had created in her mind. I stood up, calmly extending my hand and said, "Lisa, isn't it? I believe we're neighbors." She stumbled through a forced greeting, red-faced and humiliated. Casey sensed the awkwardness and asked if we knew each other. I smiled lightly and told her how I was actually their neighbor, and met her mom at a homeowners meeting. Lisa made a comment about how a teacher could never afford a house like mine. I told her I was actually a professor at the university nearby, and taught AP Psych classes as a favor to the principal, who is an old friend. Lisa quickly tried to change the topic, stammering something about Casey's performance in class, but I gently cut her off and mentioned her daughter was doing exceptionally well. I said, "I have high expectations, but she meets them consistently. Thankfully, she hasn't let superficial judgments or false rumors influence her, unlike some." Lisa visibly winced and spent the rest of our meeting mostly silent, nodding politely as I discussed Casey's academic future. Thankfully, she was clearly embarrassed by her behavior. From that day forward, the dynamic in our neighborhood shifted dramatically. Lisa no longer whispered behind my back. At meetings, she avoided my gaze, choosing her words carefully. Lisa learned a harsh lesson in humility and perception.